Okay, we have the next set of exciting talks. The first speaker is Cory Wykoff. Cory is the packaging department manager at Pepsico. And Cory is the packaging department manager of Frito-Lay at Frankfurt. And it says that they produce 1.5 billion bags of potato chips. So keep eating those potato chips because Cory is going to keep making them, and he's going to make them faster and faster. Welcome, Cory.
All right, good morning, everybody. It's an absolute honor to be here. 14 years ago, I was a student here, so it's pretty incredible experience to be able to come back here and tell the story that we just took our team through the last couple of years. So I work at Frito-Lay, the Frankfurt plant. It's 40 minutes from here, pretty close. And I'm going to take you through our automation transformation journey. So a little bit about myself first. Did graduate from here in industrial engineering in 2004. Hometown, I live in Lafayette, Indiana. I've worked for Frito-Lay for a little over 10 years. Out of school, I worked for another company, Aerofield Technology, for 3 years. I've been married for nearly 13 years, and I have 3 children, Noah, 12, Emma, 10, and Bella, 6. And I love coaching all of them in youth sports. I like running and cheering on the boilers. So some of the pictures over there, that top right, are me and my family. And then on the left there is my son's in the middle. That's our McCutcheon Youth League. It's a high school youth league where actually Blau came and talked to the team, and it was really cool. So a lot of Purdue connection. Bottom left is my youngest daughter. She's the one who's not quite in sports yet. Not sure what she's going to do, but she keeps me young. And then the bottom right is me continuing to be young. I'm photobombing Bill Rafferty at a Purdue, Illinois game. So cheering on the Boilers out there, traveled over to Illinois. So a little bit about the Frankfurt, Indiana plant. There's actually 2 plants there and a traffic center. Total, it's about 1,200 employees. In total, we make about 285 million pounds annually. And like he said, we do make about 1.5 billion bags annually. At the plant I'm at, we call it the Frankfurt core site. We make about 175 million of those pounds, and we have about 800 of the employees and about 120 over-the-road drivers. Another kind of fun fact is on a given day, we use over 1 million pounds of potatoes to make potato chips. Every single day, we use 1 million pounds of potatoes. Some more just about our site. We make, between the 2 plants, we make nearly every product there. So you can see the portfolio that we make at between the 2 sites. But why am I here today? So I wanted to talk about leading change. So over about a 14-month period, we really transformed our site's packaging room. I'm going to talk a lot today about transforming our people and culture because that had to happen first. I'm going to talk through one of the kind of the neatest, coolest parts of one of the engineering solutions that we developed. And then, as always, we like to win at PepsiCo and how we executed that and helped us win. So to start with, I am going to show a video that kind of shows a lot of the automation technology change that we went through. So I wanted to show the video first so you kind of got an understanding of the impact that we had over those 14 months and the how large of a transformation occurred. All right, so as you saw, there was a lot of physical change that we took the plant through. An enormous amount of change in our packaging floor and in our warehouse. But what I'm going to talk mostly about today is that it all started with our people. So you cannot succeed installing all that equipment and expect a good return if you don't have your teams prepared and involved and bought in. So first thing we had to do was teach our teams how to deal with change. Because we had we called part of our warehouse the new warehouse that was 30 years old. So our site basically hadn't changed in 30 years. So we really had to go teach our teams how to change. So we actually took them through the phases of change and taught them, how are you going to feel as you go through these changes, and then what not changing does to people and what not changing does to business. So as you have seen, a lot of industries don't exist anymore because they weren't ready to change. So we had to make sure our teams were ready to change. So that was kind of step one. Step two was transforming our people systems. So we were facilitating a structured decrew of around 100 plus team members. So we had to make sure we had 0 layoffs through that. So we had to very carefully plan that out through retirements, promotions, hiring reduction. And through it all, we had to increase our technical jobs, and we actually decreased our low skill jobs. And I'll put a little plug in. We started hiring a lot of Purdue students for college summer temps. So any Purdue students in here looking for a summer job next summer, please don't hesitate to look for Frito-Lay. But then with those, increased technical jobs, we had to make sure we had the structure to support it. So I'm going to talk more about that in the next slide. And then the next part of that is policy. So with a big change like this, an organization has to look at their policies and see if they have those correct policies. So we had to go change our vacation matrix, change our attendance policies, and some other policies that were involved there. So we started doing this work about a year out prior to the actual physical automation. So here's where we really had to go change the structure of our employee group. So prior to the change, we had this big group of around 300 low-skill employees that on any given day would run some of our legacy automation, would pack a line, would clean lines, would run some of our case erectors. We realized that we needed a more technical, highly skilled team to be able to go run our new equipment. So we broke this group of around 250, 300 packer group into more skilled, defined roles. Then we developed their technical skill through increased training, heightened job expectations, and then we had to go communicate with them. We had to go get them involved in all of these phases of changes, get their input to make sure they came along with us on the automation ride and that they were bought in and they were able to go execute running the new equipment. We also taught them how to clean, how to do some daily inspection and lubricate some of the equipment, so some light maintenance that they now owned and were involved in. So it really was all around how do we get our teams involved, get them technically sound, and get them brought along with us as we automated. All right, so next I am going to talk about one of the coolest parts of the kind of the engineered solution. And that's where we did have this bottleneck. So I couldn't come to Purdue without talking a little bit more deeper engineering. But, we had a bottleneck. So here we'd have a packer kind of standing over here. They'd put a case up on this conveyor. It would go to our older robots and be palletized. And then we'd have a 7-story high-rise crane that would pick up the pallets and store them in our racking. Well, through the years, we've increased fryer output and increased capacity, but that part hasn't changed. It's about 130 yards long of a packaging room, so it's very constrained from a space standpoint, so it's very difficult to go come up with a solution. So the solutions were, we increased our crane capacity. So in the cranes, we actually added a 3rd crane in our aisle from 2 to 3, increased that capacity, put new cranes in. And then we came up with, using industry help and suppliers and contractors, came up with some other solutions for how to get the cases, really how to get our cases around our packaging room. And that's where we had NCC helping us out, and then the company Icon Robotics came up with a way to actually do palletizing in our crane system. So that was our biggest challenge, was this bottom right corner, is how do we go palletize in our crane system? So our crane, if you look at this top left picture, that's our racking structure, and it's 7 stories high. What we need to do is go wipe out that first floor to put in a palletizing system. Well, that sounds kind of easy, other than the fact that that first layer's holding up the 6 levels above it and the roof. So you have to calculate, we do live in a wintry environment. If we have 12 inches of snow, how much extra load's on the roof? So we had to go calculate that all out, figure out a structure we could put in, so we could put in this palletizing system, and we had to actually do that while we were running. So we had to bring in our beams. You can see in this middle picture, bring in these 5-ton beams through our warehouse. We would shut production down for about 5 minutes, bring these beams through, get forklifts, put them up in place, get the structure sound, and then we were able to cut out the old racking after we got it certified by professional engineers and all that. So we were able to cut out the old racking and put this spot in for this new palletizing system. And here's a picture of what that palletizing system looks like. That we were able to solve that bottleneck problem by getting very creative and working with a lot of different industries on solving that issue and coming up with a solution. So through all that, I talked about how we did have to run. So that's another, probably pretty common thing that you see in industry, is you want to go install this new equipment, but how do you do that without shutting your business down? Because we make 1.5 billion bags of chips. That's not going to stop. So we had to go get very detailed on production schedule, get very detailed with our teams, figure out ways to communicate things they were used to looking at, so that we could go take, instead of weeks down there, you can see it's like a 3-day down window, then another like 12-hour down window. We had to utilize these very small down windows to get this work completed and still provide chips for everybody. So again, it took all that pre-work, all that communication early on, breaking the teams up, getting them to understand, so that we had all 600 employees working to make this happen. So between February 2017 and April 2018, we were able to get 3 big phases of crane install and additional stretch wrapper installs, palletizing installs. We had 3 big, with 2 in-rack palletizing and 1 kind of in our standard warehouse palletizing system, and then 4 huge phases of packaging automation install that we were able to complete in about a 14-month period. And what that's done for the company is it's just been a huge waste and labor reduction. We've seen our waste has gone from around 2.5% down to 1% in our PC department, and as many pounds as we run, that's worth over $1 million a year in cost reduction, just in that waste reduction. And then labor's is even a bigger number than that. And then ultimately, it's created a great culture, because we took our team together, took our team with us, and they were all part of it. They have a lot of people are in better, higher paying jobs, better trained, and feel better about the work they're doing. So it's created a great culture and a great place to grow a career. And on top of that, it's given confidence to our leadership, our Pepsico leadership, to where now Frankfurt has we're going to have a $170 million expansion starting at the end of next year. So all of that work has helped our site be very successful. That concludes my presentation on the transformation. I believe at the end of our next speaker, I'll be able to open it up for questions. Thank you for your time.